Welcome to the New Planner Podcast, where it's all about helping you successfully enter the financial planning profession and accelerate your financial planning career. This podcast will help you understand the profession, become familiar with the various career paths available to you, and avoid the mistakes that limit your success. Join your host, Caleb Brown, to explore the human side of creating a successful planning career through interviews, personal experience, and insights from the trenches. Let's get started.
Welcome to the 260th episode of the New Planner Podcast. This is Caleb Brown, your host. My guest today is Mark Hansen, who is a financial advisor at Second Comma. Mark rejoins the show today after 2 years to talk about the ups and downs he has experienced since then and how he has shifted his business. Mark shares how he was losing clients, had to change his business model, hired a coach, and has become hyper clear on his value proposition and offering. He goes on to share more of what he's learned from his decisions, mistakes he's made, and why his churn rate was too high. Stay tuned to the end to hear deep insights on his entrepreneurial journey that can be useful for any entrepreneur. I hope you enjoy this episode with Mark Hansen. Hey, Mark, welcome back to the New Planner Podcast.
Hey, Caleb, it's good to be here again.
Man, I am excited about this because last time we had you on about, episode 146, I think, a couple years ago, and just wanted to check in and just see how things have been going. So I'll let you start wherever you'd like. What have you been up to the last 2 years?
Oh, up to and down to might be a good phrase for it. It's funny listening back. I went back and I listened to that other episode, and just to try to put the biggest umbrella on it. In that episode, I was on a 1 client per month clip. I was gaining a client per month, and I look back where I am now, and I'm on this very opposite streak of losing a client per month. And just, it's a turnover in the business. It's a maturing thing. It's an education thing. But I'm really seeing what that guy was talking about 2 years ago, that guy being me, what he was talking about, he didn't know. And I'm real time discovering was not sustainable or wasn't what I was actually wanting to build, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And so I'm wrestling through that right now as we record this.
Well, one, thanks for coming on here and just for revealing that. I mean, look, all entrepreneurs go through this at some point, right? So maybe just talk a little bit more. So why are you losing the clients?
It's interesting. So since we've spoken last, I've gotten a business coach who has really helped me understand that what I was doing, and I talked about my fee structure last time. I said I took the most of whatever was higher, 1% AUM or 1% of household income. Well, that eventually floated back through the chains to the broker-dealer relationship, and they called me and they said, "What are you doing?" And I explained it to them because they had told me that was okay. And then they said, "No, you can't do that." And so then I had to change my fee structure. I'd also picked up the business coach who really explained I'm doing 2 things, but I was offering them as one service, right? There's asset management, and then there is the actual financial planning. And so I really learned, okay, it's 2 separate things. It can be 2 separate fee structures. You can charge. Not everyone does. I'm not saying that everyone has to do what I'm doing. But then I look back at my book of business. It was like, okay, I have to change my fee structure because my broker dealer is telling me that I have to. So I'm going to make the changes and just implement everything that the business coach was explaining to me. And I realized a lot of those other clients just weren't a fit for what I actually meant to set out to build, as in people who were readily available to cash flow the services, if that makes sense. What was happening was I was getting in there, I was educating people, and unfortunately, I'm trying to figure out where it lands. Somebody calls me and says, "Hey, we realize these are long-term plans that we've gotten from you. We believe in them. We can achieve them faster if we stop paying you." And it's, yeah, I mean, at one piece, like they educated themselves, or I educated them enough, or whatever. That is true. That just wasn't what I was wanting. And so I'm realizing I was helping people who didn't have an ongoing intrinsic need for my services, if that makes sense.
It was kind of like you were attracting like do-it-yourselfers, or they thought they wanted to delegate, but then they're like, "Wow, we just really wanted to," or maybe as a validator, like, "Hey, are we doing the right thing? Okay, let's do it on our own."
Yeah. Yeah. And I wasn't protecting myself with the proper paperwork. I didn't know that I could say, "Hey, this is a one sum fee. I'm allowing you to pay it over the course of 12 months. I mean, there's been so many lessons that I've learned. And the broker dealer's been great. They've allowed me to develop the paperwork and have people say, "Oh, we understand this is a price, not a sequence of payments."
Okay, got it. And I was going to ask you, but you maybe just like, Why didn't you get rid of the broker dealer if they won't let you charge the way you want to?
So much of this, the broker dealer that I work with allows me to, as long as I stay within compliance, I can really do whatever I want. And if they hear this, within compliance, I understand I got to stay within those parameters, but they allow me to do whatever I need to operate a business. And when you are young in the business and you don't have a lot of experience, it's easy to leave these gaping holes that seem so obvious when you look back. But now I'm able to go back and shore them up, and I've got a better machine for moving forward, but it doesn't specifically negate all the chaos that I got for myself when I look backwards.
And some chaos is good, right? I mean, that's just part of the entrepreneurial journey. I mean, let me ask, I mean, would you suggest other people that are starting their own firms hire a business coach sooner?
I think that's the best money I spend every month. But I think you can pay a lot of people to talk to you about your business. I do think there are more business coaches than there are good advice. Something like that. I think something like that is true. I just don't know the correct way to say it. But I like my business coach. I love what he's teaching me, and I believe it. And that's the main thing is I genuinely believe what he's telling me. And that's what you're looking for.
And it just maybe help us with the context for the people that haven't listened. We're going to link to it, but haven't listened to the other episode. Talk to you about how you charge then, and then talk about how you're charging now.
Yes. A lot has changed, but I think it's all better for the client and better for me, which is I've been discovering my heart in this too. When I was talking to you 2 years ago, I was charging on a yearly basis 1% AUM or 1% of household income, whichever was higher. And the idea was to get somebody onto this ongoing relationship. And I still like the idea. It was like, hey, you're 30 years out from retirement. I'd love to build a relationship for 30 years and then help you in retirement for 30 years. I think that would be awesome if we spent 60 years together. And what I've really switched that up to now is a lot of people, they want the answers and they need a lot of time. And that's what I've developed now is the ability to give that to them. So what was a 12-month engagement, ongoing and recurring, is now 12 weeks, start to finish. I hand you a plan, and then it's, do you want help implementing this plan, or do you want time to digest the plan and do it yourself? And my best clients are doing that process, that 12-week start to finish, every 2 to 5 years, depending on how much life changes. And then the goal of financial planning is to build the AUM, as in financial planning is typically a map that tells you how to steward your money that comes into your bank account every 2 weeks, how to steward it into the assets under management. And then eventually some people will say, well, you were super helpful on the financial planning side. Let's just do the asset management side. And that is the ongoing relationship. That's where I am right now of, I don't quite believe that financial planning for me and the way I want to do business is my ongoing relationship, unless somebody specifically needs or desires that, hey, I want to be able to call you anytime and I'm willing to pay a price because I know that costs money.
Got it. Okay. So you do the initial upfront plan, and then what's the fee range for that?
So just to keep it super simple, I did heavily overcomplicate this. It was very a la carte. And business coach said, brevity is a gift, simplicity is a gift. And so the gift of simplicity is, if you just want me to tell you what to do, $4,000. If you want me to be more white glove helping you do what you need to do, that is $7,000. And there is some significant difference, but those price points, I've sold both. And it's not just, older clients with more money buy the more expensive plan. No, I've got some people in their late 20s that bought the expensive plan because they see it as a better trajectory to where they want to go. It's very interesting having just the two options for people.
And then you're hoping that they will then come back and say, okay, we paid the 4 or 7,000, whatever it was, and now we want to pay the ongoing 1% for you to manage the assets.
Yes. And some people are in between there. They don't have the assets to manage, or most of their assets are in the 401k and we can't touch them. And they say, well, I would really enjoy being able to talk to you about this plan. And I want to talk. And I usually offer this as, we're going to have 2 strategy sessions in the year, one in the spring, one in the fall. And that is a separate thing that somebody can sign up for, where they're saying, I want to talk to you about this plan to make sure I'm on the right path. They want to be talking ongoing in between the 2 to 5 year replanning.
It's an interesting point. I mean, my financial planner just reached out to me like a couple of weeks ago, and I feel like I got chaos and craziness and all sorts of stuff going on. And I mean, like I'm just falling through and they're like, hey, we just want to follow up. Do you want to meet about anything? And I just kind of thought, I'm like, no, I mean, I think I met with them 6 months ago. I'm like, I think I'm good. I mean, I appreciate the reach out and the awesome service, but I didn't really have a need to talk to them. So, I mean, maybe then I guess that's kind of what you ran into.
Yeah, it takes a long time. You're steering a big ship. It's not a little boat that changes with the wind. And I realize people need time. And that was the hardest, I think what I was overburdening my clients with and have been, and it's part of the consequence that I'm living through now is uh, people like the Netflix style, the monthly payment, because it makes it easy on the client's cash flow. The difference is I'm not Netflix, right? I can at any point in time go turn on Netflix and just see thousands of little other things that I could go at any point in time. I can satiate my desire to have Netflix, but that's not how financial planners operate. And if it was, that client would need to pay so much money because you would basically be their family office. That's what we're describing. And that's what I've learned. You hear in the industry, people talk, oh, you just be the Netflix of financial planning, as in this monthly ongoing thing. I just don't think people actually enjoy that experience on either side.
Yeah. Well, kudos to you for making an adjustment kind of early on and trying to create something that you enjoy and want to have versus writing this out for, couple decades. Like, oh, I mean, cause this happens like, oh, I mean, even with yours truly, like, oh, I created something I didn't like. I'm gonna have to it's going to be really painful to rip the Band-Aid off.
Yes. Yes. It's, my wife is not, sit down, build the business from scratch kind of a thing, but she's very intuitive. And I would explain to her these previous business models, and I could see it on her face. It's like it didn't land with her. And then I hit this inflection point beginning of 2025, just took everything that the business coach has taught me, implemented it, ripped all the band-aids off, and I re-explained the business model to her. And that was the first time I looked at her and she looked at me, and I could tell she was thinking, okay, that's a business there. And that was really helpful.
So I mean, do you have an ideal client profile or niche, or is it just kind of anybody that will pay the 4 or 7,000?
That's what's hard about this is you can't go to market and talk to everybody because then you're talking to nobody. So, but everybody kind of fits into the model as in my financial planning process. It's called Clarity. It covers cash flow, legacy, asset protection, retirement,
I
income,
like that.
taxes,
Yeah.
and your mindset, right? So that's an acronym. Every financial plan moves through that acronym. Everybody can benefit from that, and I heard it said this way one time. If you go to the doctor for your annual checkup and he or she does all the tests and they say, good job, are we upset that the doctor confirmed everything was okay? Are we looking at that doctor and saying, what a horrible doctor, you
I'm
didn't tell me
relieved.
that
I don't know
something was
about what
broken?
everybody else thinks.
But you start adopting that mindset of, okay, like it's okay, even if you look at somebody's finances and you say, you're doing a great job. And some people are willing, you're going to buy a used car. You take it to the mechanic. You say, hey, give it a once over, make sure it's okay. And they come back and they tell you this is good. Just adopting that mindset is so different. But now, again, with what I'm doing, okay, fine. Anybody can kind of fit in there, even if they just want a checkup. But I can't just go to market. There's no social media post that says, I talk to anybody, I help everybody that's going to make anyone feel special. And so who I try to talk to are business owners. I specifically get into owner operators. I want people that are in the business. I want them to be still hands on. And when I think, well, how big of a company? I like 10 or less employees. I like small, dynamic businesses. And so I talk to those people in my marketing. And then if somebody shows up that's, business owner adjacent, if they have 11 employees, it's not like I'm saying, no, I can't help you. If they are in more of that CEO role and they're less hands-on, it's not, no, I can't help you. And it's not, hey, I don't own a business. I just have strong income. Can you not help me? It's no, I can help you because the clarity process, that framework applies to everybody. But I am trying to get people into that top of the funnel by talking to specific niches.
Okay. So maybe just walk through, like if I'm a client, I show up, I pay I mean, I would prefer to pay someone to do it for me. So I pay the 7,000, I pay the full freight, right? I mean, are you able to get through all what is that, 8 things all in the 12 weeks? I mean, it seems like cramming a lot in. I mean, walk us through how you're able to do that and Does the client get overwhelmed?
So it can be overwhelming, and that's why I have the supplemental. Hey, Caleb, I just delivered this plan to you. It's all these different sections, but I'm still going to tell you these are the two I want you to focus on, right? This is a
Okay.
lot of information. You paid for a lot of information. This is where I would focus, and then even in there, I sequence everything to say this is the order I would knock these things out in. So you've got every section is sequenced by the best way I believe to move through there. I have a meeting where I'm presenting the information and I'm saying, this is why I think it. And I try to take what's in my brain and give it to the client and then give them the time to digest it. We all want to think we're special snowflakes, and we kind of are, but we also kind of aren't. And so this framework quickly identifies where we aren't special snowflakes. But then there is a piece where I have to spend time getting to know Caleb or Sarah or whoever it is. I have to actually get to know them because as much as we aren't special snowflakes, we actually are. And there is a uniqueness. There is a way that I have to realize your problems, your concerns. I take it and I put it into what is really repeatable. There's a lot of things that are very repeatable. Maybe a lot of people might need term life insurance, but the amount might vary and the why might vary. A lot of people might need revocable living trust, but the style that it's implemented and how we talk about executors and why you're going to put so and not such and such, that's the nuance. That's the piece that is unique, and that's me. I get to focus all of my time there, getting that out of the clients, helping them bring to the surface the pieces about them that are unique. And I make sure to highlight that while I do a highly repeatable process.
Okay, so there's a sequence of meetings in that 12 weeks. Are you using any AI tools or anything to kind of streamline this or make you more efficient?
Yeah, I just feed it all the personal stuff into ChatGPT and I say, fix this. And then it gives, no. I do use some tools. I use Asset Map. I really like Asset Map. So and I tell people that's kind of like putting your financial life on a piece of paper, right? Take everything, put it on a piece of paper. And once you get the front of the paperwork done, then I can kind of turn that paper over and I can do all the math on the backside. And people like that visual diagram. So I use Asset Map. I've got approval for Holistiplan. So if we can do tax planning through there. And then there's I'm outsourcing because I'm not capable of doing it myself, but I outsource to a company that I really enjoy for estate planning. And we talk about what might be needed. And I say, these are the things, the phrases, the words I want you to say to the estate planning company. Just give them some key phrases and that process can take care of itself. And then back to Asset Map, flip the paper over. I can do the math on how much life insurance might be needed or supplemental life insurance. And then we can talk about retirement and how much money needs to be moving from today's accounts into tomorrow's accounts, and then talk about what kind of accounts you would use and why.
Okay, and then when we finish that, I then say, "Hey, Mark, I'll go ahead and manage the assets." I mean, do I have to have a certain amount of in the account for you to a minimum to take me?
No, I do have a threshold below which I don't take a fee. So under 30,000, I don't take a fee because I feel like I'm just muddying the waters. But then I also am not doing that as active management. So that's going to be much more mutual funds or something like that. That's just to build the habit of investing. Once we get over 30,000, then I can move into the active management strategies, which is where we're using third-party money managers. And that's where a fee would kick in. And it's explaining to clients, okay, we had to get that original nest egg. Now we're going to put it to work. And I'm using model portfolios. I'm not, again, not reinventing the wheel every time, but the goal is to have model portfolios looking at is this a small account, a medium sized account, or a large account? And is it conservative, moderate, or aggressive? That's kind of a 3x3 matrix. I've got one for pre tax money and one for post tax money. And just trying to keep it simple and highly repeatable.
Okay. I mean, it sounds like you've got it set up pretty efficiently after some fine tuning and some adjusting. I mean, it's like that's part of it. And that's the thing about it. Like, you're going to tinker with this for the rest of the time, right? I mean, it's like it's not really a set it and forget it thing.
Yeah, it's not. It's sometimes it feels like, oh no, it definitely feels like it's like racing a race car, but you're building it as you race it down the track. And I've tried to be more comfortable with that sensation because that's what I'm doing because I'm the way that I got into the industry and the setup that I have where I have very little overhead or management and everything, but that makes me have to build the race car while I'm racing it down the track. And I've just tried to settle in with that.
And you still feel like this was the better decision versus joining a team that already had a race car?
I think so. I did over the summer. I went through a big, uh, as I was going, I'd be talking to people, interview on a podcast, something like that. Somebody, actually, one of them heard me on your podcast, reached out and said, "Hey, I want to talk to you about something." And that happened over the course of time. At the beginning of the summer, I had 5 or 6 just standing offers of, if you ever get tired of building your race car, you can come drive ours. Just these, and that's not something I had ever had before in my life. And I didn't understand why they were there. So I went into a very big, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? Kind of a phase. But then I went and I talked to these other companies about their race cars, and I didn't want to drive any of them. I wanted to keep building mine. But now I know, hey, I really want to build my own race car. Not because I know how to build a race car the best way, or I can build the fastest or the best race car, or everyone else's race car is dumb. That's not what I'm saying. I was talking to somebody about it because I kept trying to put this into an Excel spreadsheet and come up with the perfect answer. And surprise, there wasn't, right? But I was talking to somebody and I said, I'm not declaring that I know how to do this the right way. I just don't think I want to give up my autonomy. And he said, you might not more be worried about your autonomy. It might be the spontaneity. And I had just taken my son fishing at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Wednesday, and he caught his first bass. And I was thinking, if I was in somebody else's race car, I don't think I'd have been able to do that. I would have missed out on that memory. And I look back, I could picture that picture in my head. And I want that picture more than I want a faster, better race car.
Valid point. I mean, it's a generational thing. The other generations don't see it that way, and that's okay. That's part of it. I mean, every generation's different. Hey, let me just go back. And this is something, if you're part of a bigger firm and you lose an account, I don't know, it just kind of gets maybe lost in the shuffle. But when you're by yourself and a client says, I am disengaging from you, that's tough to handle. All right. I mean, how did you feel when you lost I mean, just starting out, you lost. I mean, they're basically saying, we don't want you. Not, we don't want the big firm with the 5 or 6 names on it. They're saying, we don't want Mark. How did you handle that?
With grace, it was perfect grace, right? Nothing ever, no. To the client, I was always, I told the clients as they were leaving, I will always support you doing with your money what you think is best. It's your money. It's not mine. If you think your money should be used somewhere else, then okay. What was hard for me was nobody was saying, Mark, you're doing a bad job. Mark, I don't like this part of your process. Mark, you didn't listen to me and put me in investments that I believe in. Nobody said any of that. Most of the time it was, hey, we're going to expand our family. And so for a time, we need to pause. And I love that idea. I love that you're expanding your family. Somebody had some emergencies, family sickness. They needed to liquidate everything, and they needed to just sit still. And I'm not gonna stand in the way of that. Does it have to go in my I lost a client column? Yes. But nobody so far has said, I just don't like what you're doing. Some people, it was an education thing. They came in, they said, I don't know what I'm doing. Through conversations back and forth, I got them oriented, and they said, this is a really long road. Like, I just need to go east for 200 miles. I'll call you in 200 miles. And that's the ones where it's like, well, I didn't mean that 4 months in you would get out of a 12-month relationship. And that's where I got to develop the paperwork that protects me more. That was my biggest mistake for sure. But the most recent client that I've lost, they wanted to take my advice and they wanted to get some term life insurance to protect themselves. Both spouses wanted to have adequate life insurance. And they said, Mark, if we do it, we can't keep paying you. This is going to be the rest of our free cash flow. We have to stop paying you to get the life insurance policies. And I said, guys, if I tell you something other than what I previously told you, if my advice changes right now simply because my income's on the line, then you need to fire me anyways. It's like, I gave you that advice. I didn't know it was going to cost me business revenue, but I'm okay if it does. And I've just learned I actually believe this stuff. I actually believe what I am telling people. And it takes time. I'm not the most mature individual with my emotions, but with enough time, I really do believe this stuff. And if the consequence of somebody taking my advice is they can't keep paying me, I'm really happy for that family. I'm genuinely happy for that family.
It's awesome. I mean, it's true fiduciary duty, right? I mean, everybody says they're a fiduciary. That's not everybody says that. That's funny you mentioned that because I give that exact same dilemma to my UGA students and watch them wrestle with it. And it's just kind of squirm. It's kind of fun. Well, Mark, look, again, just thanks for coming back on here and just talking about some of this. Most people want to come on podcast and just like, yeah, I got a gazillion dollars in assets and I never made any mistakes. Um, I mean, like, really appreciate the transparency and sort of walking through. I mean,
Man.
what are some of the other, and you've given us a lot here, but just as we wind down, I mean, any other points you want to make or leave the audience with?
You hear a lot of advice if you go into the YouTube space or self-help or whatever. Some of that advice is not always remembering the fiduciary responsibility. I think it's important that we take the time. I do a lot of journaling. Well, I stopped for a while and I'm getting back into it. I'm realizing it was a very helpful thing for me, getting my thoughts out and just helping me understand what I really believe. I really believe if somebody can't pay me because they buy the life insurance that I recommend, I think that's okay. But that doesn't mean I'm okay with it. I need time. I need time to process. But you have to know your core convictions. And I would say take time because you might hear, I think some good advice is fail fast, fail cheap, right? Don't spend 3 years on something that could have taken 3 weeks, and don't spend $3,000 if you could have just spent $300. But fail fast, fail cheap has to also take into account this is somebody's real life savings. This is their real money. You can't fail fast, fail cheap with somebody else's money. You can't get rid of that fiduciary responsibility. I can't do that. I don't want to speak for anybody else. So it's remembering my core convictions and then moving through I listen to a podcast where they talk about staying water, right? Don't get locked up into ice and don't become so hot that you evaporate. Stay water, right? Water can take on any form, any shape, but you have to know your core convictions because I can't take on Caleb's shape. I'll never be happy doing that. And that's part of what, for me, that's why I don't think I can go to the big blue place or the big green place and just fit in. I just don't think I would enjoy that. But that's because I know my core convictions. And I would say for $1 at Dollar Tree, you can get yourself a journal. And I would say just fill it up and you can stop when you think you start to understand your core convictions. Give it some time and then test them again.
Thanks for sharing that. There is something to be said about taking some pretty heavy punches early on in your career and then getting back up off the mat. I mean, because if you can't do, you can't do that, you're not going to make it, right? So
yeah, absolutely, that was definitely a turning point. I said that to my wife. I said because she said, she asked me, did you make a mistake? And I said, I'm at the point where I understand why businesses fail because I've been hit. I'm down on the mat, and I'm saying if I stand up, this guy might hit me again. And the question was, do I want to stand up again? Or do I just want to lay there? Because eventually, hey, they'll call it, it'll be over, right? And I realized, no. I really do want to stand up. And that really means I might get hit again. And so that's why stay water, fail fast, fail cheap. Know my own convictions.
much better pathway. And again, I appreciate you joining and just the transparency and just being authentic with us. I mean, it's really great to see, and you're going to get there. You're going to get there. And just like Kit just talks about this all the time, it just takes time. It just takes time. Well, anything else you want to share before we close out?
I think last time I didn't even say reach out to me on LinkedIn, but so many people have heard that podcast and reached out on LinkedIn. I'm always open to that. So feel free, find me on LinkedIn, Hansen, Hansen. Shoot me a message. I'm more than happy to chat. I've given some 15-minute, 20-minute slots of time to people that have said, hey, when you said this, what did you mean? Or people have wanted clarification. And so I just enjoy that. I enjoy talking to people. So I'd offer that again here.
Thanks for paying it forward. And hey, one other just kind of quick, funny story before we go. So we had the interview 2 years ago, and then, we'd only met over video, had not met in person. And then earlier this year, so early 2025, we're at a Kingdom Advisor. I'm at a Kingdom Advisors conference and down in Orlando, Florida. They asked me to come speak down there. And I'm in one of the general sessions. And I don't know, there's probably 3,500 people in this session or so, maybe
ton.
more, maybe
Ton.
5,000. It was crazy. And I turn around out of all these people because we're doing an activity or something. They asked us to do something. And there you are. You're sitting right behind me. And we both just could not believe it. Do you remember that?
Yes. Yeah, they said, I think, was that when we were playing paper, scissors, rock?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we turn around, we both got our rocks on our, we're about to do 1, 2, 3, go. And it's, hey, I know you.
Oh man, what a crazy coincidence. But glad to know you, Mark. Glad to see you. And again, thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the New Planner Podcast. If you're ready to discover the top career paths for financial planners and see which track is best for you, we created a free guide to help you. Grab your copy of the Financial Planner Career Roadmap at newplannerrecruiting.com/roadmap. There, you'll also find more tools and resources all created to help you build a successful financial planning career. Tune back in next week for another episode, and until then, we're here to help you succeed.